difficult mentally is that? Like pushing yourself until complete exhaustion, seeing what you want and how far you can go. Because I feel like one thing about that is that people don't realize how far they actually can go till they finally get past that point and realize, hey, maybe I can go a little bit further. But it's all like a mental game, right? Like if you don't mentally believe you can do that, if you're mentally saying like, hey, I'm done, like you're not going to be able to continue to go forward. But if you have that mentality of just continuing to push, of continuing to get better, of continuing to get to that point of failure, but just keep going, I feel like that's kind of probably the switch that happens, and maybe the switch that happened for you when you got to Arizona State.
Yeah. I would say I've really gotten better at that this year, especially with Salo as my new coach. He's always honest and being like, "All right, guys, it's gonna be uncomfortable, but that's where your greatest gains are. You're teaching your brain. Your brain is your biggest weapon, basically. Like if you can teach it to be like, no, I can go further, because technically your brain's going to tell you no you can't because it's trying to survive, you know.
Yeah.
But you can push your body past its limits so much further than you originally can think. So i'm I got a lot better at it this year. My first 2 years I kind of was just pushed back a little bit, but I really grew on that this year, I would say.
Yeah, and you probably have seen a little bit of a difference in that. Maybe you can go a little bit faster. Maybe you can go a little bit harder. Maybe you can maybe not get as exhausted. Like I'm sure there's probably some sets that you've done that you look
Oh
back
yeah.
on and you're like, how in the world did you do that? Like how did I survive that? Like if you had to say one set, it could be Arizona State, could be prior to that. If you had to say one set that you have swam, what's one set that you will never forget? Like you knew it was just so difficult. Like getting out of that pool was extremely difficult. Maybe walking wasn't necessarily in a straight line.
Oh
Like
yeah.
maybe you were just completely dead by that point.
No, I got just that. We it was a suit up set, so we put on a tech suit and it was 650s best average. This is I think it was freshman year summer or sophomore year summer. Okay, it was freshman year summer. Um, it was long course, 650s, and it was minute, 50, 40, 30 was the intervals. So I went in. My first one was a 29 high, and the other breaststroker next to me was probably like a 30.5, 30.6, and I was like, I don't know, I feel good, so I'm just gonna go for it, and I'm going for it. The next one I go like a 29 mid as well, and I'm like, okay, so I got it, and my next one was like a 30, and then next one was a 32, went down to 34, and my last one hurt so bad and I hit a 36, and that's probably the hardest I've ever pushed myself. My legs were cramping so bad that I couldn't finish my kick completely, but I grew so much on that set.
So obviously when you suit up, are you expecting it to be a little bit more of a harder practice, or are you expecting it to be a little bit more on the easy side? Obviously, it's probably different depending on the day, different depending on the set. But like obviously, when you suit up, you're trying to go as fast as possible. Like you're trying to basically, like it's like a meet like
Yes,
situation for the most part.
basically just to mimic the feeling of a race. So for us, when we train like a 200 pace, we'll do sprints of like 75, and then we'll do like 125s and stuff, long course. But for short course, we do a lot of just 50 work, a lot of pace. When you're doing suit up sets, I would say it's pretty hard
Okay.
because if you're trying to do a suit up set with just a brief, I would say it's just brutal on your body. You can't
So
push yourself.
so not every suit up set is a tech suit. Then I'm assuming.
No.
Okay. That's
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes when we have like it would be a suit up set, and they're like, "All right, we're doing a set, but not suited," and we just like look at each other like, "Oh, this is gonna hurt,"
yeah.
and but and it does.
Yeah, no, I bet. And I was actually just going to ask you about like what percentage is a suit up set, what percentage is not, because obviously with tech suits, for anyone that knows, they're obviously like insanely expensive. But
Yes, they are.
obviously being a D1 swimmer, you might get a little bit help with that. Probably all of the tech suits that you don't use in meets anymore, probably used for practice. But it seems like it's kind of like a mix, maybe not as much, but it's probably like I would assume a mix, especially at Arizona State, because I feel like for a lot of you guys' meets, it's probably a lot of tech suits for the most part.
Yeah, for us, we're ASU is really known for suiting up every dual meet, just to mimic suiting up, shaving, so that when you get to the bigger meets, like the stress level of like, oh, I didn't do this, didn't do that, like it's already there.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say we suit up probably almost 3 times, 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
Um, so we'll do a double on Monday, double Tuesday, double no, double Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then you'll have singles Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday with a lift afterwards. So on those days, we'll do Wednesday afternoons fast, Friday afternoon fast, and then you go into Saturday fast as well. So that when you're doing a Friday to a Saturday, it's kind of mimicking NCAA format
Yeah.
because your body's
So
tired.
yeah, absolutely. And it seems like really the only quote unquote off day you get are Sundays for the most part.
Yeah, we have our recovery day is Thursday. That's
Okay.
when we kind of like flush our body a little bit, so to get ready for what's coming up fast.
Yeah, and then obviously getting ready for a meet, stuff like that, that typically happens. It feels like mostly on weekends, but you also talk about having two practices a day. Like that has to be so brutal. Like I know being a part of a team like swimming, like obviously you have to go to practice early, you have to jump in a freezing cold pool, but then you also have to do it a little bit later. Obviously, it's just kind of a part of being a swimmer, but like it probably never it's probably never something that you get used to for the most part.
Yeah. For in the it's funny because like in December, January, you'll be wearing pants, sweatshirt, maybe a hat sometimes because it's cold in the mornings, and then you'll come to afternoon practice and you'll be wearing shorts and like a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah, you know
So,
what? I would love if the weather here was like that because the
oh yeah.
weather in Michigan, obviously you're used to it. You're from here. It's nothing like Arizona, so I
No.
would prefer Arizona weather a little bit at this point.
Yeah, I don't miss the Michigan weather. I will say that.
Yeah, no, and rightfully so, obviously, because you get to spend all your time outside in a pool when it's
Yeah.
nice and probably sunny. Obviously, in December, it's still a little bit cold in the morning, but I would prefer that than probably having to swim inside for 95% of the year.
Oh yeah. Yep. I would say it's probably almost sunny. I would say 30 out of the 365 days of the year, probably. Probably a handful.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it is. I will say that.
Yeah, but you talked a little. You mentioned a little bit about kind of your schedule, like having basically practice every single day besides Sunday, having a
Hmm.
recovery day, having some days that you have two practices, some days you have one practice. But like outside of that, like what's life like as a D1 swimmer at Arizona State? Just talk about kind of like your daily grind, not only like school, but like if you had like a one day, like let's say like what does a Monday like look for you typically?
Monday.
Yeah.
Monday. Let's see. Monday we have AM practice from 6 to about 7:30, and that's usually like a power day. And then we'll do buckets probably that day usually, and then we'll go home. I make myself some breakfast. It's usually about 1,000 calorie breakfast. I try to get that. Um, and then usually a nap after that, and then I'll go to class. Sometimes I'll have one or two classes on Mondays, which having two will not be fun.
Yeah, I
But
bet.
yeah, and then actually last semester, so I had to come in at between 11. It was noon to 2, and because I had a class conflict,
Okay.
and I couldn't swim with the normal time, 2 to 4 with everybody else. So I did that. Then I went to class, and then I had another class after that, And then I was finally to go home and eat some dinner, have some downtime, play some video games with my friends. But and then you'll go to bed at like 9 or 10, and then get ready for tomorrow.
Basically, it's like a full time job
It
from
is.
start in the morning to when you go to bed. I know you said you get to play some video games, which is obviously like you still have fun. You still get to hang out with the guys. You still get to hang out with the girls. Like you still have practice, but like there's probably some practices where it's like fun where you're chatting with people, and then there's probably other
Hmm.
practices where you're just sitting in that lane line and just like can we get this over with? This is not fun anymore.
Yeah, there's a few days like that, but it's very rare, I would say, just because how much fun we have doing it together.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of like everyone's going through the same exact thing. And I don't
Yeah,
want to say like it's like good, but like everyone's kind of having fun through the difficult times, and like everyone's kind of like cheering on for each other, even
yep,
though like they're going through the same thing, they're going through the hurt. It's almost kind of
yeah,
like the like energy kind of like goes up a little bit because
it
everyone's going
does.
through the same thing, everyone's experiencing the same thing. That no one wants to kind of be that person that is like
The
just
Debbie Downer.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, yep,
It's like let's get excited for to continue to do this, and this just continues to suck, but just continues to go.
yeah. I would say having one person to bring down the mood will affect the group more than everybody being happy, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
You know?
No, it makes complete sense. It's about just again making sure you're there for everyone, making sure that
Yeah.
again, kind of like to the beginning of the conversation that we talked about, supporting each other in practice, supporting each other outside of the practice, because there's
Hmm.
still class, there's still practices, there's still expectations, there's still the physical toll, the mental toll. Like that's why I think college athletics in itself is so unique, is that it really forces everyone, maybe not everyone, because you might not necessarily quote unquote get along with everyone because there's obviously different personalities.
Yeah.
But like it really like forces everyone to get so close and really forces people to become best friends with each other. And I'm sure you probably have some guys and girls on the swim team
Oh,
that you're
yes.
going to probably be best friends for the rest of your life. Maybe some people in your wedding someday, probably
Yeah,
people that are
for
going to
sure.
keep in contact with. And I think that's just the cool thing about just sports in itself is that, but also is the memories that you have through it.
I totally agree 100% with that. I mean, I've made so many best friends. I mean, I keep in touch with people who've been retired, who's done swimming, who graduated even. So it's we all keep in touch, which is so nice.